In this video, we're going to be looking at applying some of those theorems that we learned about kites to find measures. So looking at number 1, I want to find the measure of angle C in the kite shown. And so I know from my theorem, opposite angles theorem, that this kite has exactly one pair of congruent angles. And so I see that I have two angles that are clearly not congruent. I have 80 degree, 50 degree. And I already know from that theorem that the angles that are formed between the two sides that are not congruent are going to be congruent. So I know that angle A is congruent to angle C. And so since I know they're congruent to each other, I don't know what either measure is though. I'm just going to label these both as X. And now I'm going to use what I know about quadrilaterals and their sum of their interior angles. And I know the sum of the interior angles of a quadrilateral, so that means also for a kite, is 360. And so to find what measure of angle C is, I'm going to add all of these angles up. So I have X plus 80 plus 50 and set it equal to 360. Well, I get 2x plus 130 is equal to 360. Subtract 130 from both sides. And I get that 2x is equal to 230. And then divide both sides by 2. And I get that x is equal to 115. So that means that the measure of angle C is equal to 115 degrees. Okay, looking at number 2, I want to find the measure of angle A now in the kite shown. And so again, I know that I have those one pair of opposite angles that are congruent. So I need to figure out which pair that is. Well, I know it's going to be the ones between the two sides that are not congruent. So that means that angle D is congruent to angle B. So angle B is 111 degrees. And so now to find the measure of angle A, I again need to set up my equation. So I know the measure of angle A plus 111 plus 25 is equal to 360. When I add all those numbers up, I get 247. And then subtract 247 from both sides. And so I get that the measure of angle A is equal to 113 degrees. Okay, so for these last two examples, we're now going to be finding sides and angle measures in a kite. And for both of these examples, we're going to be using this diagonals theorem. So the fact that the diagonals are perpendicular. So they intersect at a 90-degree angle. So I know that these both intersect at a 90-degree angle. And I'm going to use that information now to actually find my x and my y. So I'm going to start with finding the measure of x. And I'm going to just look at this right triangle right here. I see I have a right triangle. I see I have two of the three sides in my right triangle. And if you remember back in a previous unit, we can actually figure out what that third side is using what we called the Pythagorean theorem. And so I have a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. And so my a and my b are my legs, and so it's going to be 4 and 8. So I have 4 squared plus 8 squared is equal to my hypotenuse squared, which here is x. 4 squared, I get 16. 8 squared, I get 64. 16 plus 64, I get 80. And then when I take the square root, I'm just going to go ahead and round to the nearest tenth. I get 8.9 is equal to x. Now I want to find what y is. So now I'm going to look at this right triangle. And we see here, remember that all the angles in a triangle add up to 180. And so to find what y is, I can just do y plus 90 plus 54 is equal to 180. So I have y plus 144 is equal to 180. Subtract 144 from both sides, and I get that y is equal to 36. Okay, let's look at another one. So here, I want to find x and y in the kite below again. So I'm going to do what I did before. I'm going to kind of separate these into two different right triangles. And so to find x, I want to use Pythagorean theorem again. So I have a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. So I have 3 squared plus 4 squared is equal to x squared. 3 squared, I get 9, plus 4 squared, I get 16. 9 plus 16, I get 25. And then when I take the square root of both sides, I get that 5 is equal to x. Now I want to figure out what y is, so I'm going to look at this right triangle now. Again, I know all the angles in a triangle add up to 180, and so I have y plus 22 plus 90 is equal to 180. And then I'm going to solve for y, and so I have y plus 112 is equal to 180. Subtract 112 from both sides, and I get that y is equal to 68.